Who is West Virginia's all-time greatest quarterback? Time to find out. Golden Blue Tube here with you, and today we're going to talk about who West Virginia's all-time greatest quarterback is. And I whittled it down to 4. Marc Bulger, Geno Smith, Pat White, and Major Harris. So I'm going to knock 2 out right now. The first one, Marc Bulger. He owns a lot of West Virginia's passing records, but his problem was interceptions. 93, which is by far and away one of the highest interceptions rates I've seen for West Virginia quarterbacks. So he's out. Plus, he didn't give West Virginia that much success. They were okay, but not great. The next quarterback that's out is Geno Smith, and it's simple. He was not good under pressure, so Geno Smith is out. So that leaves us with Major Harris and Pat White, and it's pretty close. So let's look at the numbers real quick. Now, you have to keep in mind that Major Harris only played for 3 years for West Virginia, and Pat White played 4. So for Major Harris, he threw 41 touchdowns total. For Pat White, he threw 56. Now remember, he had 1 more year. Passer rating though, this is a little more telling. So for Major Harris, he was 144.3 over 3 years, and Pat White was 147.4 over 4 years. So Pat White a little better in the passing rating. Passing yards, Major Harris 5,119. Pat White was at 6,049. Yes, that's a year's more. That's about 1,000 right there. We forget both of these guys were dual threat. Major Harris was one of the first ever dual threat quarterbacks. He kind of pioneered that. So he's a very memorable name, not just for West Virginians, but for a lot of college football fans. You also have to look at rushing for both of these because they're both dual threat. So for Major Harris, he rushed for 2,058 yards. Pat White, 4,480 yards. Yes, he had 1 more year, but that's a lot more yards. So that would make up more than 1 more year. For touchdowns, big gap here. Major Harris, 18. Pat White, 47. That is a huge gap. Let's look at interceptions real quick. For Major Harris, he threw 23 interceptions. Pat White threw for 23. That would probably be the year difference we're looking at. So if you look at the numbers, Pat White's numbers are better than Major Harris, and that's even taking into account that extra year. There's a couple of areas where it's tight, and you could say, okay, that was that year. But there's a few major categories that 1 year would not explain it. Major Harris did get West Virginia through an undefeated season to the national championship. He got hurt, and West Virginia lost. Pat White didn't get West Virginia to a national championship, but got West Virginia within 1 game. We've all looked at that game. That game was thrown. I don't care what anybody says. Even the interviews to the players that played that game were like, why those plays were called. And also, Pat White was also injured in his game too. So I think if Pat White was not injured, even though there was terrible play calling, I think his ability to scramble and get out of trouble would have helped West Virginia win that game, and I think they would have. Both got West Virginia very close to a national championship. Pat White, 4-0 in bowls, including 2-0 in BCS. That's a record for the ages. Major Harris got us to the national championship, got injured, West Virginia lost. Pat White also got injured, got us within 1 game, but he rebounded and ended up winning the Fiesta Bowl over Oklahoma very convincingly. So my vote is going to go to Pat White. All-time great. They're both all-time greats, but I think Pat White is just a little bit better. Now, Major Harris did finish 4th in the Heisman vote in 1988, but people forget Pat White, he finished 6th and 7th in 2007 and 2008. So I'm going to give the nod to Pat White. That's not taking anything away from Major Harris. He's an all-time great West Virginia, no doubt about that. Great quarterback, but I'm going to have to give the nod to Pat White. The all-time greatest quarterback in West Virginia history is Pat White. That's all I got for you today. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.